The goals of this video are to understand the relationship between slope and rate of change, find slope from a table, graph, and function rule, find the y-intercept from a table, graph, and function rule, and find a missing variable given a slope. So Manuel worked all summer at an amusement park and saved $1,050. At the end of the summer, he stopped putting money into the account and instead started making withdrawals. Manuel made the table below to show his activity in his account. So if we look at the table, we have time in weeks and amount in savings. So as we notice, as the time is increasing, the amount is decreasing. So every week here, we are changing by +1. And our amount of money is changing by -50 because he is spending or taking out $50 each time. So our rate then is going to be -50 over 1, which is equal to -$50 per week. Remember that rate and slope are the same, so our slope is also going to be -$50 per week. The starting point, remember, is wherever we have a 0. So where we have a 0 happens to be our first row. Remember, that's not always the case. So our starting point is 0, 1,050, which is also our y-intercept. So when we go to write our function rule, remember that the second column is y, the first column is x. So we have y equals 1,050 minus 50x. What is the rate of change and slope? What does it mean in this situation? Where do we find it in the function rule? So remember our rate of change, we already said, is -$50 per week. This means Manuel is withdrawing $50 per week. We find it in the function rule next to the x. So remember our y-intercept then is 0, 1,050. This means Manuel starts with $1,050 in his account. How much money will he have after 50 weeks? So 15 weeks. So we have y equals 1,050 minus 50 times 15. So we have 1,050 minus 750. So y equals $300. Sorry. When will Manuel run out of money? So when he runs out of money, that's going to be equal to 0. So 0 equals 1,050 minus 50x. We can subtract 1,050 from both sides. -1,050 equals -50x. When we divide, we get x is 21. So this is going to be 21 weeks. So now let's look at how to find slope when you are given 2 points. Before we have talked about making a table, but we can also use the slope equation. So in the slope equation, you're going to subtract your y coordinates on top and subtract your x coordinates on the bottom. It doesn't matter which one is y2 and y1 and x2 and x1, as long as the 2's come from the same parentheses. So usually what I do is if I look at my points, I have x1, y1, x2, y2. Remember, your x's are always first, your y's are always second in each coordinate. So what we would do then is y2 minus y1, so 3 minus 3, over -8 minus 2. Then we're going to simplify. So 3 minus 3 is 0, divide by -10. 0 divided by any number is 0. If you're not comfortable using the slope equation, you could always use a table of x, y's and use your jumps. So in this case, we have 2, 3, and negative 8, 3. Our y's change by 0. Our x's change by negative 10. 0 divided by negative 10 is 0. So these are the same. We're going to stick with the slope equation for the rest of these problems up. So in B, I have x1, y1, x2, and y2. So as we subtract negative 7 minus negative 5, just because there's a negative sign there doesn't mean if it's a negative number, you get rid of it. Then we have negative 3 minus 8. So that gets us negative 2 over negative 11, which, because they're both negatives, they cancel out to become positive. In C, when I use my slope, I have x1, y1, x2, y2. So I would have 8 minus negative 3 and 11 minus 11. So that gets us 11 over 0. Remember when you have 0 on the bottom, if you put that in your calculator, you're going to get an error. So this is a special slope, which is undefined. In D, we have x1, y1, x2, y2. So I have 3 minus negative 1, and I have 6 minus 14. This gets us 4 over negative 8, which reduces to negative 1/2. 6, use the scenario below to write 2 ordered pairs and then find the slope. So 1 week into summer, Katie has $135. During week 11, Katie has 270. So our points are going to be 1, 135 and 11, 270. So when I go to do my slope, I have x1, y1, x2, y2. So 270 minus 135 over 11 minus 1, which equals 135 divided by 10. So that's going to get us $13.50 per week. In B, in 1965, the town of Devonfield has 471 residents. In 1981, the town of Devonfield has 2,407 residents. So we have 1965 has 471 residents, and 1981 has 2,407 residents. So if we are looking at our ordered pairs, we have x1, y1, x2, y2. So we subtract 2,407 minus 471 over 1981 minus 1965. So we get 1,936 on the top, and when we subtract on the bottom, we get 16. So when we divide, we get 121 residents per year. In number 7, identify the slope, rate, starting point, and y-intercept of the following. So in part A, we have c equals 100 plus 10m. So our rate and our slope are going to be 10 because they're next to the variable. Our starting point and y-intercept is going to be 0, 100 because it's the number by itself. In B, we have y equals 2x minus 15. So our rate and slope are going to be 2. Our starting point and y-intercept are going to be the number that's by itself, so 0, negative 15. In C, we have y equals 150 minus 4x. So our rate is negative 4, so is our slope. Our starting point and y-intercept are the number by itself, so 0, negative, or 0, positive 150. In number 8, Jeremy deposits $150 a paycheck into his bank account that started off with $1,560 in his bank account. So in our function rule here, we're going to have y equals, he starts with $1,560 plus he's adding 150 per paycheck. So our rate here is going to be $150 per paycheck, which is also going to be our slope. Our starting point is going to be the number by itself. So we have 0, 1,560, which is the y-intercept and the starting point. In number 9, identify the slope, rate of change, starting point, and y-intercept. So in number 9, for our rate of change in slope, we went over 4, up 4 and over 2. So our rate is 4 divided by 2, which is 2. That's the same as our slope. Our starting point, or y-intercept, is where we're crossing the y-axis, which in this case is going to be at 0, 4. In B, when I pick 2 points, I go down 1 over 1, so my slope is negative 1 over 1, which is negative 1 for the slope and rate of change. Our y-intercept is where we cross the y-axis at 0, negative 3. In C, we have a horizontal line, so anytime you have a horizontal line, your slope and rate of change are 0. The starting point is where we're crossing the y-axis. So we get 0, negative 1, and 0, negative 1. In D, our rate and slope, we have undefined. And our starting point, y-intercept, because it doesn't cross, this is going to be none. In number 10, put the equation in function form and then find the following. So in function form, we need y equals. So first we have to solve for y. So I'm going to subtract 2x from both sides. Remember that it's not going to combine with the 36. So we have negative 4y equals 36 minus 2x. We can divide everything by negative 4. So y equals negative 9 plus 1/2 x. So our function form is y equals 1/2 plus, or y equals 9 plus 1/2 x. So our slope and rate are going to be 1/2. Our starting point and y-intercept are going to be at 0, 9. In number 11, to get it in function form, first thing we're going to do is add 8x to both sides. So we have negative 6y equals negative 12 plus 8x. When we divide by negative 6 everywhere, y equals 2 minus 4/3 x. So our slope and rate are negative 4/3, and our starting point and y-intercept are going to be 0, 2. In our last problem here, what if we have the slope and we want to find one of the variables? So first I'm going to write my slope equation. So if this is x1, y1, x2, y2, we have 8 minus y over 5 minus 3. Let's get it. So it's 8 minus y over 2. If it's equal to a slope of 2, 8 minus y over 2 equals 2 over 1. And then I can solve by cross multiplying. So we have 1 times 8 minus y equals 2 times 2. 8 minus y is equal to 4. We can subtract 8, so negative y equals negative 4. When we divide by negative 1, y is 4. So let's do it again, but this time look for x. So in number 13, find the value of x. So the line passing through the points x, 4, and 8, 10 has a slope of 2/3. We have x1, y1, x2, y2. So 10 minus 4 over 8 minus x. That simplifies to 6 over x minus 8. This time we're going to set it equal to 2/3. So we don't need to add a 1 on the bottom because this is a fraction. And now we can cross multiply. So we get 2 times x minus 8 is equal to 6 times 3. 16 minus 2x is equal to 18. We can subtract 16 from both sides. So we get negative 2x is equal to 2. When we divide by negative 2, x is equal to negative 1.